In this lecture, we're setting things up so that when we bump into a wall, bump, it's going to change the color of the wall, and we're going to be using GetComponent to do that. In the last lecture, I was briefly talking about what things know about other things and can talk to things within our code, and one of the things talking to things concepts that I want to talk about right now is about our game object understanding what components it has on it. If we look at the wall, we can see the wall has a mesh renderer. That's the component that says what I look like. Essentially, we have the box collider component that we've been playing around with our collision. We also have our object hit script. So if we have a script or a piece of code that is on this game object, then it's very easy for us to get access to the information contained within these things. So let's take Mesh Renderer, for example. Mesh Renderer has materials on it, and the material we have at the moment is blue. It's just our blue material that we created. Where's that? Down here. Just has that blue material sitting on it. It has information to do with lighting, information to do with probes, which is also to do with lighting. It's not to do with aliens, and additional settings that we have on there. So there's things that we can access. In particular, we can access the color. So some of the things we can access with Mesh Renderer, we don't see by looking in the inspector. There's other things that we can access through our code. That's what we're going to do now. We're going to say this game object, so whatever you are, whichever of these ones that you are, we've got our script that's on this object and that object and that object, and we're saying this object, we want to have it know about its mesh renderer, and we do that with GetComponent. So let's jump back over into object hit. And we'll write this code a little bit messy, but we'll write it in a way that's nice and simple for us to understand. So within our onCollisionEnter callback method in here, I'm going to start by typing GetComponent. You can see my autocomplete's giving me some options. We want the angle braces, although if we don't have the angle braces, we can just type them in ourselves. And of course, it didn't give the angle braces to me after all that, but that's okay. Angle braces, which are down next to the M key, left and right. And then for any of our methods, we need to have our parentheses. And it's getting upset with me at this point in time because it's saying, what component would you like me to get, dude? So what component do we want? We want the mesh renderer. So back in the angle brackets, we're going to type mesh renderer. Oh, and now it's happy. The squiggly line has gone away. Or the squiggly line's down here because we haven't finished our statement just yet. That's all cool. But it understands, okay, we'll get the component mesh renderer. Now what do you want me to do with that? Well, within here, we can use the dot operator to say, okay, what things can we access? What can we actually do to the mesh renderer or with the mesh renderer, or what information can we access from the mesh renderer? I would like to access the material. And the material, if I hit the dot operator, we have some options in here. We can change the color of the material. Cool, so I'm going to click on color. Just note the spelling. And at this point, it's saying, okay, so we're getting the mesh renderer. We're accessing the color. What do you want to do with that? Well, I want to assign something else as the color. When we're talking about assignment, we're talking about the equals sign. We're saying the thing on the right, we want to have that assigned to the thing on the left. And so the way that we type that is color with a uppercase C, dot, and now we can choose what color we want. So we've got a few different options in here, red, magenta, gray, green. I'm just going to choose red. And these are pre-created things that Unity understands. When it's got color.red, it knows what that means. It knows what that's going to look like. And then I have semicolon at the end. We'll save that. And then when we jump back over into Unity, now, because we've got that on collision enter, when we bump into things, it should change color to red. So I'm going to click on play, pop, and that changes to red. That changes to red. Everything changes to red, which is really cool. Now is probably a good time as just a little mini challenge for you to go and change the color to something that isn't quite as offensive as red. And you can do that by just removing red, retyping the dot, and then I'm going to try black, see how that looks. I think it's going to look a little bit just softer. Maybe it's something I'll do for now while we're playing around with this black. Yeah, that looks a little bit softer. In my final game, I'll probably do red, just because red says, oh, you did something bad, but I don't want to have red just at the moment because it's a little bit bright on my screen and I don't want to blind you as you're watching my lectures here. So for now, I'll just use that black color, but you can change the color to whatever you like. That's all I wanted to cover in this lecture. Good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Calling it hits, and we're going to initialize that at 0 because you start off, you haven't bumped into anything at all yet. Now, where would I need to put hits? Where in our code would I place this variable? Within my debug.log, I can have multiple things in here that we're printing to the console one after another. The way that we do that is by using a plus symbol. That's up next to the backspace in the top right of your keyboard. The plus symbol you've bumped into a thing this many times is a statement that'll just print that straight out, and then we just type in hits. And Unity knows that's a variable, and it won't put the word hits there. It will say, what is the value of hits currently? The value of hits currently is 0, so it would just print the value of 0. But we don't want it to stay as 0. We want it to increase each time we bump into something, which means we need a little bit of logic on collision enter. So above our debug.log, we need to say what's going to happen. And literally what we're doing is say the variable of hits now equals what the variable of hits was plus 1, semicolon. So you're saying, I know it's a little bit weird saying hits equals hits. What does that even mean? It's saying, okay, I want you to update the value of this. So the variable called hits, I want you to update its value as whatever it is right now plus 1 more. Shove that over into our box that's called hits. And that will update hits. So each time this statement is happening, it will increase it by 1. And that's the long way of writing it, which is a little bit ugly, but it's the long, hopefully clear way of writing it. There's another shorthand way of writing this, which is where we say hits plus plus. That does exactly the same thing. It's just saying, take whatever you are now and add 1 to yourself. If we did hits minus minus, then it would decrease by 1. Hits plus plus, save, and then jump back over into Unity and let's see if we get the desired results here. I'll clear my console, click on play. When I bump into an object, oh, you've bumped into a thing this many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going up like that. And what we might want to do in the future is add a little bit of logic so that when I bump into something once, I can't bump into it again. It's like you got the penalty, you bumped into a particular thing. So it depends whether you want your game to be you've bumped things this many times and it keeps going up, or whether you want your game to be you've bumped into this many things. And if you can get through the whole level with only bumping into 2 things, that's good on you. You know, it doesn't matter if you happen to bump into it 20 times. Once you've bumped into it once, that's okay. It's been bumped into and it's changed the color. Okay, so that's all for this lecture. I'll see you in the next one.